welcome to another video from Colour with Claire. Today it's a video review of Fairy Miracles by Klara Markova. So Klara already has 3 books out. There was Magical Delights, Tenderful Enchantments and this 3rd edition, Fairy Miracles. So this is her 3rd colouring book and it is exactly the same size, shape and format as the previous 2. So as you can see, it has this beautiful gold foiling to the cover in all different bits of the illustration and to the title as well. And we also have some gold foiling pieces on the back. All a full colour cover. Now Magical Delights was a kind of very deep pink colour, Tenderful Enchantments was a turquoisey colour, and this one is sort of like a midnight blue colour. So it's called Fairy Miracles. Obviously this is the English edition, but you can get it in Czech as well. So we open up, we've got a hardback, as with all of Klara's books, extremely good quality. We then have the title page, Fairy Miracles, which has a little fairy house to colour and some foliage. We've then got the copyright page telling you a few words about Klara and telling you that the book has 112 pages in total. Now this is the nameplate page, so you can feel free to put your name across here if you want to. And as you can see, it's a whole spread of illustration to colour as well as. We then move on to the very first proper illustration of the book. Now this is a one-sided book, so you can use any materials that you want on it and you won't have the fear of ruining anything on the other side, because the only thing that is on the other side is a little space for you to maybe write the date that you finished and a few little illustrations. So you're not really sacrificing much if you do use things that bleed. So here's the first illustration. So this is called Fairy Miracles, so it's going to contain a lot of fairies, but Klara's work always does anyway. She's sort of famous for her fairies and her little fairy houses. So you can see here we've got a fairy holding on to a little, looks like a duckling, and we have a duck egg here. So maybe she's sort of looking after the duck egg with the duck. I don't know. You can sort of make your own tale up as to what you think's happening in the picture, but it's a very sweet scene. They're obviously very close, and of course we've got all the flowers and mushrooms in the background as well. Here we've got what look like bunny rabbits or hares, and they are flying, they've got wings. So obviously this is a very whimsical book. There's not much realistic about it, to be honest. So if you do like your whimsical artwork, you'll absolutely love this one. And it's all done in Klara's very signature style. Lots of little shaded dots and lines and just beautiful, beautiful, very cute scenery. So here we've got a couple of mice and they have their little children with them. They have the key to, I'm guessing, their new home, because there's suitcases down here and there's a log pile and a fire. It looks like the most amazing place to live, to be honest. So here we've got a mushroom head with some fairies underneath, and this one, it looks as if this is a bell. So the bell is actually made out of flowers and this fairy is hanging on the rope, maybe ringing the bell, it looks like. So we've got another little fairy here. She's got her wings, so we know she's a fairy, and she's sitting astride a unicorn. Very, very sweet. The unicorn's patterned with little posies, and below we have the little fairy town. Here is this huge ring, which is probably only a normal size because these fairies are tiny, and they found this amongst the grass and the leaves, and I guess they're taking it back to their little fairy hideaway. Now, as you can see, this is a spread of 2 back pages, and that is because we have a double page spread here. So on the back you can see there's nothing, so this double page spread is still one-sided. So here we've got a whole scene of a couple of fairies here. It looks like this little boy is bringing the ring to the little fairy girlfriend in a little box, and a flower as well. And this is her fairy house, very, very cute. Now on the left here we've got some snails, and they have little garlands and crowns of flowers on them. And this looks like a cake made out of mushrooms and all sorts of other stuff. Now here we've got a couple of little love bugs, and we have some cocoons here. So these look like they're going to hatch any minute. We've got the caterpillars and the cocoons for them to turn into butterflies. We've got a key here, and this is all on a very, very small flower, because you can see how big these flower heads look against them. So it really is like taking a microscope into your garden and what you would see in a fairy garden. So again, this huge flower, this tiny fairy, she's holding a key. We have a house in the background with a cute little chimney and loads of little, kind of similar to sakura flowers. So here we've got a little girl. She has, it could be a headband, but it might not be. It could be actually attached to her head, I'm not sure. But she looks like she's got some bug antennae, and she's holding her bug friend and walking through this garden of, I know what these are called, and you're going to tell me what they're called, but those very tall flowers with the bell shapes on them. And in the background we have what looks like a bee's nest or a wasp nest. Isn't a bee's nest inside the hive, so that must be a wasp nest? I don't know. Here we've got a very, very sweet dragon eating up all the berries. He's so cute, and he's sitting inside what looks to be a kind of spiky flower. Not entirely sure what it is. It could be completely mythical flower, I don't know. And then we have these sort of potion bottles hanging down here as well. Again, we've got a couple of dragons. This one is curled up in the middle of a sunflower sleeping, while this dragon has a flower which seems to be dropping some nectar on him or something. I don't know whether he's giving him sweet dreams with that or how the magic works, but it is certainly beautiful. Here we've got that girl again, and she's holding a baby dragon this time. She's sort of kneeling on the floor, and in the background we have a fairy house and all of these big kind of poppy shapes around her. This fairy sat on a tree branch. She has a bug sitting on her hand, listening very intently to what she's singing or saying. Again, surrounded by flowers. Here we have what could be a fairy castle, so there is so much to see on this. We've got this huge doorway here. We've got shells everywhere, really big shells and starfish. So this could be an underworld sort of page if you wanted to colour it in blues and things, marine colours. We've got big snail shells at the top of these turrets here, and loads of little things embellishing it. So again, carrying on that water theme, we've got what looks like a mermaid. You can see her scales and her tail here, and she's holding on to her pet seahorse. Now she's sat in front of her dressing table with her lotions and potions, and yes, I think this would be a beautiful scene done in lots of ocean colours. Again, here she is reading a story to her seahorse, who is holding the key. There's a lot of keys in this book, and another seahorse here, and all the fish and jellyfish sort of floating around. So here we've got a fairy with a swan, again with that key. I don't know what that key is for, but we may see later in the book. We've got a dragonfly holding a branch of flowers and a big lotus or dahlia, I think it's a lotus, behind her. Here we've got a cute little fairy or cute little elf writing hydrangea on a piece of scroll with a feather. And of course there are hydrangeas here, big hydrangea bush and lots of little mushrooms. Here's a full kind of length fairy with her dress, and I think that this little fairy is adjusting all the flowers on her dress. So it's as if she's having her dress tailored or adjusted by the other fairies. Here we have a little girl looking out of her fairy window at the very top. She's dangling that key again. We've got a cat over here, a ladybird, and loads of little doorways and windows. I know a lot of people love to colour these sweet little fairy mushroom houses. Here we've got a rabbit, and the fairy's whispering a secret into his ear. Who knows what it could be? This is a couple of cats. Looks like they're snuggled up in a purse. It looks like a purse anyway, or a handbag. You can see we've got the handle over here made of sort of round shaped pearls, and then the bag itself. This one would be a really cute one to colour, I think. And here we have a very sweet looking puppy dog. Just look at those little puppy eyes. And he is traipsing over these strawberries in this garden. I think he's looking for something to eat. Very, very detailed one here with a couple of fairies flying over the fairy village. And this one is holding a lantern with a candle inside, so is this one actually. And lots of berries and droplets and things on this. Another fairy house that you can see actually inside, there's some furniture in there and loads of mushrooms. This is going to be another double page spread now. Here we go, this is absolutely glorious. So you can see we've got what looks like an older fairy or a mother fairy. She's painting a doll here with her paint, what do you call it, guys? You know what I mean, that paint thing. Palette, there you go, paint palette. And it looks as though there are a few different mannequins and carved dolls around her, so that's obviously her job. And there's all sorts of bits and bobs, tools and glue and brushes and things, and a big lamp here as well lighting up her work. And then on this side you've got all the children, and they look to be in some sort of shelf. This looks like a big shelf that they're all sat on, and a little wardrobe or mirror. And we have this very cute squirrel cuddling up to one of the dolls. Very, very sweet image, that one. Here's a little boy elf or fairy. He's got his wings and he's holding a big sort of diamond shaped lantern and some sweet little bell shaped posies. Some more fairy houses with cute little chimneys and doorways and windows. And then this is the one that I've completed. So I did this with Prismacolor pencils, and I wanted to keep the palette very limited. I often just go sort of haywire with my colours and end up putting just every single colour on the page, but I really wanted to keep it quite simple. So I decided that the carousel was going to be a gold and purple. The gold's maybe just a little bit yellow for my taste, but it looks fine. I think it kind of comes across as gold, hopefully. And the purple, of course. And then all of these flowers were done with a deep pink going right up to a deco pink. So I wanted that really nice gradient to a very, very light, delicate pink. And yeah, I really like how this one turned out, actually. I'm glad that I kept it limited. Here we have the inside of the fairy's house. So you can see the door is open here. We've got some what look like raspberries or blackberries, and then some big sweetie lollipops here as well. So this one looks to be a fairy sweet shop. There's lots of jars of sweets and some treats on the counter. Here we've got a very, very cute illustration. I really like this one. This is the apple. So there's a full-sized apple there, but obviously it's much bigger than our fairies. And the fairies have sort of stuck a tap into it, and they're getting barrels of apple juice made out of there. And in the background you can see there's berry juice being made and strawberry juice and other little potions. And this little fairy is asleep on these very soft strawberries. Now then, here we have what looks like a biscuit that's been sort of bitten into at the top. It could be a lollipop. And we have a fairy getting out of bed in her sort of onesie. And downstairs, breakfast is being prepared. We've got jelly and we've got something cooking in this little cauldron pot. You've got a couple of sort of face-on fairies that look as if they are wrapping presents. So these could be like the Christmas fairies, I guess. Again, we've got these lanterns down here with the little bugs that are holding the globes of light. So you could call them fireflies, I guess. And we have this big spool of ribbon, lots of books, which could be this book actually. Maybe it matches the front cover. It does, it matches the front cover. So they are wrapping Fairy Miracles books to send out to their friends and family. And we have a little cart down here on wheels with all the presents inside. And on the next page we have another little fairy that's into her making and creating. So they're doing a lot of jobs in this book. She looks like she's holding a screwdriver and she's got a sort of a bird box. So she's obviously repairing something or creating bird boxes, but very sweet. We've got these huge crystals here at the side, flowers with crystals in the centre. We've got a clockwork kind of steampunk winged dragonfly made out of gems. Really good one, this one. This one's very sweet as well. So we've got the mummy fairy and she is knitting a little bodice or dress for her baby, who has little mushrooms for rattles, and he's just lying in a leaf. You can see her washing is on the line in the background, the bugs just looking down on them. And there's loads and loads of balls of wool. That'll be really fun to maybe colour them all in different rainbow colours. Here we've got a rather large bird taking up most of the frame. he's got the lock. So I'm thinking that that is why we're seeing keys everywhere. He's holding a lock. I'm not entirely sure what the story is to this, but we need to find out. So there's ladders up to the fairy houses, loads and loads of mushrooms. If you like colouring mushrooms, you're not going to go far wrong in this book, I tell you. So here we go with another double page spread. These fairies have got very sweet teeth, evidently, because they're always eating lollipops. You can see there's one here just licking this lollipop. And there's the inside of a bedroom with a fireplace. We've got another mushroom lantern. I really like that one. And this big pumpkin house here as well with the bat flying ahead. So you've got a couple of bats there, actually. This one could be done as a Halloween type illustration. So here we've got a hedgehog. Again, he's holding a key, and he's also got presents as well in his cart. So I don't know whether he's distributing his Christmas presents or just collecting them. Now we've got a cat that again has the lock. She is wearing a key on a ribbon around her wrist though, and she has what looks to be a tassel of some sort. Now this fairy is sitting on top of a gramophone. It says Foxtrot on it, and it's one of those old ones that you wind up and the music will come out. And there's a few fairies on there, but this fox is the main sort of thing on the page, this fox and this little pond in the corner. And I love this little flag coming out of the leaf ship. So this is inside. Again, it looks like a library of some sort. It could be a botanical library because we've got this guy who looks a bit like a gardener. These books are open to flower and tree pages, and all of the spines of these books have flowers and fruits and things on them. This one is, let's have a look, let's have a proper look. So he looks like he's got a big spoon here. And we have a picnic going on the floor with a rug and the teapot and teacups. And then it looks as if we have nuts or figs in this basket. So is he roasting figs, maybe? And then serving them up? I'm not sure. I'm sure that you will tell me what you think. Again, that sweet tooth for these fairies. They've got a big block of chocolate that's melting over an open fire. And here we've got a beautiful cup with loads and loads of whipped cream on top. And again, lots of different sweet treats, chocolates with nuts inside, truffles sprinkled with sugar, and sweeties wrapped at the top here as well. So this looks like a Christmas scene purely because we've got a snowman here. So it's gone frozen in this Fairy Miracles book now. We've got the icicles dripping down from the roof. And then underground, so this is sort of a double sort of scene because you've got overground, underground, wombling free. No, you won't get that if you live in America. So there's overground, underground, and underground you can see all the presents are stacked up on the rug for Christmas. We've got a cupcake with a gingerbread man inside it. We've got a cute little sofa, the stairs going down. There's loads of pictures on the walls. It's all very, very sweet. Now these are a couple of carolers, if I'm not mistaken. You can see they're wearing their winter clothes, they're holding some gifts, and there's a sled in the background with a huge drink on it and a big orange or lemon slice. And then we've got some gingerbread sort of ribboned baubles hanging down from the top as well. Now we've got a mouse on a sled coming down at this snowy hill. Snowman's behind him holding again a lollipop, more baubles, a big cake, and lots of sweet treats, cookies and cakes again. Now this is a double page spread with the owl with his flute or recorder and a little mouse who has his music sheet. They're obviously practicing their Christmas carols. Loads more presents, loads of berries, loads of foods, and here is the pièce de résistance. This is the gingerbread house. You can see it's just dripping with icing, and just this is going to look amazing when it's done. The gingerbread, the sweets, the sugar, and again loads of biscuits and things. So they have a really, really good Christmas, I think, in Fairyland. Loads and loads of stuff that you shouldn't really eat, but you know, it doesn't matter, it's Christmas, just do it. So you can see here that this is an artist. He's colouring or drawing the mushrooms around him. He's got his paint palette here. This would be a good one to do for us colourists. And that's the end. So we've got a little bit of a paragraph here, possibly explaining things. Let's just read it. It says, I love the smell of wildflowers and herbs that come into bloom at only at full moon on a summer night in the middle of the forest. A jingling melody leads my steps to a little clearing with a lovely little house surrounded by a soft glow. Suddenly the wooden door creaks and I cannot stop myself from walking closer along the mossy path. What's awaiting me inside, and who lives there? I pass translucent little mushrooms with velvet caps and tinkling bellflowers. Fireflies behave as if they were my long-time friends. They fly around me and stroke my cheeks with their wings. A wonderful smell of freshly baked blueberry cake wafts from the house. I feel so wonderful that I'm not even breathing. I hear a lovely voice inviting me in. So join me, all of you, and let's go in. You're warmly welcome, and do not forget to take your coloured pencils with you. You will need them. I thank all the little elves and fairies for their endless inspiration, and my heartfelt thanks belong to all of you for making my wonderland real with love. Yours, Klara. So you can see her previous books are here. And as usual with Klara's books, we have some cut-out projects to do if you wish. So we have a few doors that go onto the pages in the book that had open doors. I'm probably not going to be able to find one now, but if you've got Klara's previous books, you'll know she does this quite often. So anywhere that you've got a open door, told you I couldn't find one. Yeah, this will do. So anywhere you've got an open door, you can see there's some lines here on the hinge. And I think it's probably going to be this one that fits because it looks like it's the right shape. So you'd cut that out, you'd glue the tab and stick it on and colour it, and then you'd be able to make your own sort of pop-up, not pop-up, but flat book, you know what I mean. So there we go, and then there's just a pattern on the back, and we're at the end. So the paper itself, if you haven't got Klara's previous books, it is really thick, really thick. It's got just the right amount of tooth and smoothness for coloured pencils, but equally pens will be fine. Pens are fine on pretty much anything, to be fair. But for pencils, absolutely brilliant, as you saw with my finished illustration. It's a very cream stock. It is by no means white. It's very cream, very ivory. And the binding, because I know a lot of you are asking about binding, is glued and sewn by the looks of it. So hopefully that's the kind of binding you like. I think that's preferred by most because the pages seem to stay for longer intact. So there you go, Fairy Miracles. Now, how much is it? It is £22 on Klara's Etsy at the moment. Now, I know £22 sounds like an awful lot of money, and it is for a book, but you've seen the amount of colouring time you're getting in this book. I really do think it's worth it if you think about it that way, that you have got so much content to colour. And if you really are into your whimsical illustrations and this kind of very charming, very childlike almost art, then you will really appreciate this book, no matter the price, really, I think. And as well as the illustrations themselves, obviously we've got the production quality here. We've got the hardback, we've got the thick paper, it's one-sided, it's bound really well, it's got fabric on the edge, it's going to match up with all of your previous Klara books on the shelf. What else can you say? It's absolutely beautiful. So I'll be leaving the illustration, I'll be leaving the link in the description below for you to go ahead and buy this on Etsy, and let me know in the comments what you think of the book. I hope you like it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon on Colour with Claire.